Hi, this is Mark from myprojectsource.com. I hope you enjoy this excerpt from my new class, PMP Made Easy. So let's get started. Okay, the next topic I want to cover here is the PMP Eligibility Requirements. What are the requirements that you're going to need in order to be able to sit for the PMP exam? So first of all, when we talk about how many hours or how many years of experience you need, we're talking about project management experience. And what is meant by project management experience? So project management experience means that you were involved in planning, leading, monitoring, and controlling project tasks regardless of project title. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a quality manager or supplier manager or manufacturing manager or IT manager or software lead, project lead or something. It really matters that you were doing the planning, the leading of the team, the monitoring and controlling of the team to get the project done. So you're doing the work of project management. So there's two categories here, and this is for PMP, not for CAPM, but for the PMP, for category 1, if you have a bachelor's degree, a university degree, then you'll need 4,500 hours of cumulative project management experience. So what does that mean? That means that let's look at a typical work year. A typical work year is about 2,000 hours, is about the amount of time for a normal 9-to-5 job. With holiday vacation and time off, you work about 2,000 hours a year. So that comes out to about 2.5 years of project management experience within the last 8 years. So you can only go back 8 years for this work experience. So that means sometime within the last 8 years, you've worked about 4,500 hours of doing project management. Okay, so that's one of the criteria. The other criteria is regardless of how many hours you've got, you've had to be doing project management for at least 36 chronological months. So, for example, as I said, if you worked full-time in project management for 2.5 years, that would be about 30 months. So it'd be a little bit shy of the 36 chronological months. So if you're doing project management for 3 straight years, for example, that's going to cover both of these requirements. Now, sometimes you manage projects for a while, and then you go and you do some other non-project management work, and then you come back and do project management work. So what you're going to do when you fill out your application is you're going to put in your hours that you did project management work, and then the how many months you did it, and it's going to keep adding up the cumulative hours and the chronological months, and you're going to need to get to 36 chronological months and 4,500 cumulative hours within the last 8 years. So any project management work that you did more than 8 years ago is not going to count. So that's how that works. The other criteria that you're going to need to meet is the minimum 35 contact hours of PM instruction. And this class here will count for that, or if you've had other project management classes in the past, you can use those, or you can wait to the end of this class, and when you get your certificate, that's going to cover your contact hours there. All right, if you do not have a university degree, you can still sit for the PMP exam. It just changes the amount of hours that you need. So it does require a high school diploma or equivalent of a high school diploma. And then your work experience would increase from 4,500 hours to 7,500 cumulative hours. Again, with 2,000 hours per year, so 3 years is going to be about 6,000 hours, and then 3/4 of a year is going to be about 1,500 hours. So you're going to need just shy of 4 years, 3 3/4 years, if you have a high school diploma. And then you need about 5 years or 60 chronological months of project management experience. And then you need the 35 contact hours of instruction, whether, as I said, this class or some other class. So you can figure out which category you're in, and then figure out whether you need this. Now, I have another video which explains how to document your work experience, and I have a spreadsheet that you can use, which I'll post here in the class, which you can have access to. And that spreadsheet would be something I would recommend that you fill out before you start filling out your application. Okay, if you are going for your CAPM, your Certified Associate in Project Management, you don't need as much experience. So you do need a high school diploma or an equivalent, and then you either need 1,500 hours or three quarters of a year of project management experience, or minimum of 23 contact hours of project management instruction. So in other words, just taking this class will satisfy the requirements of getting your CAPM. And CAPM is a good choice if you can't certify the other work experience, or you don't have the other work experience to justify sitting for the PMP. Then this is a good option. And then also for new people just starting out in their career, a CAPM is a great option because it shows your commitment to employers, that you were committed enough to project management and interested enough to go through a course like this and then sit for your CAPM exam. So a lot of times it can open doors and get you into the field of project management if you're not already into it. And then this is one of the main reasons that people do go for their certified associate in project management. So definitely a valid thing if that's what you're looking to do. All right, now let's take a look at the exam fees. There are separate exam fees paid to PMI to take your PMP exam. So let's skip down here and let's take a look at the initial certification fee for non-members of PMI. That's $555. Let's look at the certification fee for members, $405. So you can see $150 difference here. So then the question is, well, what does it cost to join PMI? Well, a new member to PMI is $139. No surprise there. It's actually less if you join first and then, or join at the same time when you're filling out your application. It will save you a little bit of money, and you can kind of see whether you want to stay a member. There's not a requirement to stay a member, but if you do want to stay a member after the first year, it's $129 to renew. It's nice to, as a member, number one, you can download the PMBOK, and that's one thing that you're going to do in the first year is download and have that electronic version of the PMBOK so that you can take it with you. The second thing is, once you get your PMP certification, you're going to want access to easy PDUs, professional development units. So it's worth it to keep your certification for that. Keep your membership for that. But at least do it for the first year and then make your decision after that. And then also for the CAPM, the initial certification fee is $300 to sit for the exam, and $255 if you are a member. So a little bit different equation there, but you can decide again whether you want to. It's really nice to get that electronic version of the PMBOK. Now, what happens if you don't pass the exam on your first try? Can you retake it? And the answer is yes, you can retake it. And I believe it's about 3 times. I think you get 3 tries within a year before you have to go and reapply. But without it doing any reapplication, you can take it up to 3 times in a year. There is a reexamination fee, which for members is $275 for the PMP, and it is $150 for the CAPM. So uh, not to not you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't pass on your first try. You don't have to go through the application process and go through all that again, as long as you take the exam again within 1 year. And I have had people that have taken it twice or even 3 times and then passed. So it is possible. If you don't pass on your first try, you can certainly retake it. And some people just either have a bad day or they really don't study adequately and they don't take it seriously. And then they realize, okay, I got to buckle down and I got to really study for this thing. And then they go back and usually pass it. All right, now I want to talk about maintaining your certification. You might be curious, well, if I get my certification, do I have to do anything to keep it? And so let me explain both the CAPM and the PMP. With the CAPM, there are no PDUs or professional development units required, and the certification lasts 5 years. So basically, you take the test, your CAPM is good for 5 years. You don't have to do anything to maintain it, but after 5 years, it goes away. And the thinking is there that, after 5 years, you'll have enough work experience in project management that you could go ahead and sit for your PMP. So the thinking is that most people probably would never take the CAPM twice. I mean, there could be exceptions to that they will go ahead and sit for their PMP on their second go around. So the PMP, is there anything you have to do there? Yes, you have to get your 60 PDUs every 3 years. What is a PDU? As I mentioned, that is a professional development unit. And basically 1 hour of class is 1 PDU. And usually whenever you do an activity, you kind of have to figure out how many hours it was. If you're taking a class, as I mentioned, it's just 1 hour. They're pretty flexible, though. You can actually listen to podcasts or do readings for at least some percentage of your PDUs. And if you look at it, that's about 20 hours per year, which is about half a week of training. So for most people, a half a week training. And you can take, training within your own organization, training online. You can do certain activities. So, there's a whole PDU process which you can look up on the PMI website, and you can look at all the different options there are for PDUs. But the good news is, and here's the most important thing for you, is you never have to take the PMP exam again. As long as you maintain those 60 PDUs, you never have to resit for the exam. So in general, it's much easier to maintain your PDUs, is much easier than having to retake the exam. So that's the good news. You never have to retake the PMP exam again. If you would like to start your free trial of PMP Made Easy, that includes unlimited access to the first 4 modules of the course, go to www.myprojectsource.com/easy. That's www.myprojectsource.com/easy.